To the class of 2024, my name is Ed Hearn. I'm the president of St. Augustine High School, and it is my pleasure to welcome you. I'd also like to welcome you on behalf of the Augustinians who first founded this great school in 1922, the board of directors, the administration, the faculty, the staff, and the over 10,000 alumni who have walked through these very gates into this school patio, which was the original St. Augustine High School. Today I'd like to introduce you to our principal, Jim Horn, who is beginning his 18th year as principal and instructional leader of St. Augustine High School. Mr. Horn graduated from St. John Bosco, and then he was off to UC San Diego, where he majored in political science and economics, then went back to his alma mater, St. John Bosco, and became a teacher, and while teaching earned an MBA from Long Beach State, and then a master's degree in education from the University of San Francisco. So Jim, welcome. Really glad today to introduce you, and also to have you discuss the plan of operation of the school in the fall. So Jim, why don't you just take us through your family, introduce your family to us. I know you have a very special situation this year that I think everyone will find interesting.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. I appreciate it. You know, I've been here 18 years. The family didn't exist when I took this job. I had just gotten married to Kathy, and our oldest boy is 14, so it's exciting that this year he will be a student at Saints as well. And, you know, for a lot of years I've been telling people I'm pretty vested in making this a great experience because my boys will be here, and that reality is upon us. So in addition to being principal, it's going to be exciting to be a parent the next several years here at Saints. That's great.
I'm kind of interested. You started your teaching at St. John Bosco, but your first master's degree is an MBA. It kind of seems like your first master's should have been in education. Could you kind of explain that, maybe, like how you did that?
Yeah, you know, I think when I came to teaching, I didn't come thinking it would be a career. I thought it'd be a short stop on the ladder. My parents owned a family business in plastics engineering, and through college I kept dreaming that I would join the family business, and one of the pieces of prep for that was to get the master's in business. And as I started to do it, I looked for a job more than waiting tables or something, and I fell into teaching economics and accounting at John Bosco. And it was great. It gave me evenings to study and summers off where I could really up the studies. But as I kind of progressed, I fell so in love with the work with the kids that I realized the business world and the family business wasn't really for me. I was having great fulfillment teaching and decided to stick with it.
So you're moving along. You're teaching your classes. Did you coach anything, student activity-wise?
I did, like every teacher in a Catholic school. Along the way, I was a teacher, a department chair. I moderated the newspaper, the Key Club. I coached soccer, track and field. At one point, I was a dean of students, and toward the tail end of my time at John Bosco, I was the vice principal.
Vice principal, and that is usually a launch to the principalship. But I also know that when you came here, you were pretty young, like 33 years old. And to launch from a vice principal's job to the principal at that age, I'm just wondering how you felt on the inside as you're coming to a completely new community, and how that must have felt to you kind of coming into St. Augustine High School.
I think like any young professional, you know, you get that job maybe you've dreamed of, and as you get there, you're really nervous and uncertain. But this place, and I think everybody kind of that stayed with us for a while shares this story. This place has a welcoming spirit about it that I felt at home. Although I did feel a little uncertain because of my inexperience and my age, I was embraced by the community, and a lot of great things have happened in my time here. And the good news is I don't feel that sense of inexperience any longer, but I still feel all the warmth of this great community.
So that brings me to how we met. And I'm wondering from your perspective, how did you see that? Like, and where was that, and how did it happen?
Yeah, well, you obviously know the story, but I think I was working with Carlos Leon. He was a dean of students along with me at John Bosco High School, and at some point Carlos had worked with you at Loyola at a previous time in your career. And as he got married, I remember being seated at a table at the reception next to you and Diana and having a chance to meet you. And I think I had just been hired but hadn't been on the ground yet. And so we exchanged some information, and I don't think, you generously offered in that conversation to assist me if I ever needed help. And I don't think it was much beyond the third week of September before I reached out and said, hey, I've got a couple issues, I might need some help from someone who's had experience. So
yeah, that was a funny moment in my life when you called me, because I was actually coaching freshman football, and I was in Yuma, Arizona on the sidelines when my cell phone went off. And I'm actually talking to you during the middle of the game. It was pretty hilarious as it happened. But yeah, I appreciate that, because then some great things happened a little later on between the two of us. So you're here, and I'd like to kind of turn to the COVID-19, which is on everyone's mind. So, like all of us, we're watching the news and everything, but I have a sense in just watching you and your team that you were on this pretty early, thinking about what this might mean for St. Augustine High School this last spring. And I'd like you to maybe take everyone through like the planning process, what got your attention, and how it rolled after that.
well, you know, I think for me, I didn't know what to think of it, but I started seeing news about it in January. And I was paying attention to it, but I didn't think it would have the impact on schools and our society then that it obviously has. By late January, it became very clear to me that this thing might grow some tentacles and be something that affects the school community. I remember when we went through swine flu and bird flu, there were some restrictions on us and some health issues we had to address, but none of it quite like this. It was very different. I think it was the last day in February. February 28 was the first time I put out a publication to faculty, and I said this thing is really kind of moving down the path of having grand effect on schools, and we may even get closed. And at that time, I think we thought it would only be 2 to 4 weeks maximum, but we started planning, and the speed at which it progressed was amazing. Like I said, I think that was Feb 28. By March 10, we had developed a full plan to transition to online learning. And in that point in March, things were changing almost hourly, actually. And by March 13, we were off campus. So we developed our plan by the 10th, and by the 13th, we had our last day. And the following Monday opened online without any close to instructional time. So.
And how would you evaluate those 3 months, the last 3 months of the semester, in terms of the learning and
yeah, you know, it's hard to evaluate because I hold the school to a high standard. I'm hoping what we produce for the boys is of top quality. And I think, given the circumstances, we provided great quality. But I think we learned, as a lot of schools did, that it wasn't quite the experience that kids need and yearn for. I think when we first heard it, we all thought, ooh, summer's going to be extended by a few weeks. But then the reality drug on. And I think teachers and students alike did not like the online format as much as the on-ground format. You know, we talk so often about school spirit, the brotherhood, the excitement of being on campus, and a lot of that was missing.
So school ends, we get through June, things open up, things are closing down, and you guys are in the middle of planning for the fall classes beginning. And I don't know if you have your plan developed enough to actually talk about it, but what are you thinking about these days about the opening of school?
Well, the planning has been ongoing, and as you know, things are still changing. So we've got a preliminary plan, but we're pretty confident it's going to need some adjusting between here and August. And it's actually going out to families this week. So our reopening plan at this point is we would have 1 day of school online and 4 days of school on ground. And in that plan is all kinds of considerations and changes to protocols. So we have social distancing, we have sanitation protocols. We also are limiting students' access to shared supplies. We're limiting their movement throughout the campus. Most of our restrooms provide a touchless kind of experience, soap, water, and paper towels all dispensed touchless. Our food service policies have changed. So there's all kinds of protocols that have changed, and they're all outlined for parents in a plan that has gone out to them this week. So we think it'll change, but maybe what's most exciting about the plan is if COVID-19 requires us to be more restrictive in our attendance on campus, we can transition in a day's time to a more restrictive hybrid schedule. And God willing and hopefully we find a vaccine or the virus dissipates to some degree, we can return to more normalcy right away. So we're excited about the options the hybrid schedule gives us, and we intend to start on ground 4 days a week.
Any word at all from the CIF about fall sports?
Lots of word, and nobody's made any firm commitments other than news is coming July 20. So here we are, July 8, filming this, and I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to find out. Our coaches are hopeful, and there's a lot of murmur that the season may happen, but will be delayed. But of course, all of that's yet to be confirmed.
Well, thank you, Jim. I really appreciate this time. I know you're really busy right now with your administrative team trying to figure this out as it changes moment to moment. And I want to, again, welcome all of you for spending some time with us today. I think you can tell that we have a really good plan. We have good thinkers, and everything that we've done through this COVID has worked very, very well. You're entering one of the greatest communities in San Diego. Welcome again, and stay healthy, and God bless.